All I want to say here is that if you want to get a sense of what other people think of John Sirasani's skills at the blackjack table, just read some of the comments under any one of his videos, any one of his sessions. He's got a right to do whatever the hell he wants, but my problem with him comes quite simply because he claims to be the best there is, and that's just so ridiculous. It's laughable, really. And of course, one of the many things that he does, which shoots him in the foot, is this devotion that he has to dirty martinis and any other booze that's on offer. Again, he's right. I mean, if he wants to do that, great. He obviously works out in between sessions, so he doesn't look that unhealthy. But booze and betting, bad mixture. Okay, so we're just a few days away from Christmas, and right now I'm looking at John Sirasani's Christmas special, 100K Christmas special, as you can see over there on the left. And what can I say? In the spirit of Christmas, I'm going to say right now, I'm grateful to John Sirasani. I think it's preposterous that he thinks or pretends to be the best that ever played. As you can see, top right there, that's him being quoted. I didn't make that up, he did. I think it's ridiculous that given the way that he plays, he could even consider for a moment that he's in the top flight of the greatest blackjack players of all time, especially since he's actually played with Don Johnson. Played is always the wrong word. It's bet. But anyway, never mind. I'm constantly falling into my own trap there, and that's my fault. Yeah, it's pretty bloody silly. But this time, he did an absolutely wonderful job for me, proving once again that betting flat or betting randomly is just plain stupid. I mean, it really is, honestly. I mean no insult. I think that I have the right to comment on the way that he bets, on the way that he handles the game of blackjack, because he's putting himself out there, and worse, he's claiming to be somebody special, somebody to look up to, somebody to emulate. So what happened this time was that in spite of the fact that this is still a red line, it remains a red line simply because it's the actual value, which under normal circumstances is a red line. It was this time 14%. John, by golly, managed to knock that 14% down to 0%. And that's because he got up 12,000. He was ahead 12,000 at one point with a great run in his favor. And then, I mean, this is where obviously the flat bets go from there to there, which is a fairly big distance. It's sort of like, what's that? That's 59 coming down to 49. So that was minus 10. He fell 10 bets behind. So he was 21,000 down, and then he started to climb, and he got up to just 7,000 ahead, and then he went down again to 18,500 ahead, and then finally he came out at a lovely round number, 0. Now, how did he do that? By betting flat and randomly, all randomly, not both at the same time, obviously. Flat is not randomly. We all understand that, I think. His minimum bet, except for one exception, I think, towards the end, was 1,000. And he bounced all over the place, just randomly. No sense in it whatsoever. And let me see, go down to the bottom here, and here's what we see. His left-hand bets, his primary bets, if you like, the first base bets, won 7,000. In spite of him getting ahead, he reduced, with that 7,000, he reduced his advantage, the player advantage, from 14% to 4.6%. There's no crime in that. It's his money. It's his choice. He can do what he wants. It's just that when he sets himself up as a role model that I have a problem. Anyway, total action there, 152,500, right? So he made just under 5% on that. Here's what's really interesting. He lost exactly that amount on his very, very ill-advised, dumb add-on bets when he split out to two hands instead of one. And I've been saying since I started this whole thing, there is no sense in betting extra hands, multi-hand betting, if you like. There is no sense in it. There is no proof that it works. There is one guy who has, sort of like proved to be the exception to the rule, and that's Degen Dolt, who had an incredible run, I think at Caesars some months ago, and he could do no wrong. So he split out to extra bets and he kept winning those. And the dealer was having the worst time. The dealer could not get arrested. I think at the end of that session, Mr. I think his last name is Webb, I think. Dolt was 16 bets ahead. It was incredible. Now, that doesn't happen often enough for it to mean a bloody thing. It just doesn't. So here you have John C., the GOAT, King John, greatest of all time, adding 22,000 to his action, right? Total action, losing 7,000 on his extra bets, proving my point. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. And along the way, his average winning bet was 1,686. Average losing bet, almost the same. No, worse. So he couldn't manage to win more when he was winning than et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you don't do that, you're screwed. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. That's the arithmetic. That's a fact. But by golly, there aren't that many people out there who give a tinker's toss about facts. They're in it for excitement. They play the games for excitement and entertainment and relaxation and all of those things that actually don't happen because it's highly stressful losing good money to a game that's tilted against you and you've done nothing to protect yourself. But anyway, that's John. He blew 7,000 on extra bets and won 7,000 when he reduced his advantage on his first base bets. Up now to pattern betting. Quite a different story. Not without some hazard, but a different story nonetheless. I mean, the story is told right here. And this is what we're looking for at every time we go to bat at these games. We're looking to start down here and end up here because we want to make the bankroll just a little bit stronger, just a little bit more powerful, add to our firepower, take us a little bit closer to being able to put up a fight when things get shitty. And of course, here, things got shitty. What do? We came down to 222,794, and up here we were at 224,894. So it's only a couple of thousand, in fact, isn't it? It's not very much. 222,794 and 224,794. So only that drop there is only $2,000. But I mean, it was such a player-friendly bunch of outcomes that it's extraordinary that this guy who says, I think I'm the best that ever played, could actually fuck it up. I mean, how does he do it? It's a rare talent, let's face it. Come down here and what we see is that pattern betting's, this is the algorithm, of course, the action was puny compared to John. He was up there in the sort of like adding the two lots together, his extra bets and his other bets down here. He was at, let me see, 174,500 altogether. And pattern betting was at 33,225. So, anybody who wants to claim that pattern betting doesn't work because the bets are too high, well, to hell with you folks, because, there's just common sense and truth will always save the day for me, because all you have to do is look at the numbers. And, you might ask yourself, what the hell is the point of constantly doing this thing with Sirasani, with Degen Dolt, with Mr. HP, with all the people I've abandoned. I used to track Brandon O'Brien, but he was winning way too much. way too often. He was obviously cherry picking. Same with what's his face, Mr. Handpay. Forgotten his real name now. Justin Bulky, I think. Same deal. Just definitely cherry picking all the way. Vegas Matt, well, he was just driving me nuts because he bets like a drunken sailor, or he bets like a drunken octopus, actually flinging money in all directions and not giving a damn when he loses, because he's collecting, sort of like at least $500,000 a month in profits from his various other enterprises, which are gambling related, but certainly aren't gambling. So, for him, like all the other guys who are building gambling channels on YouTube, losses are just an overhead. They're just a cost of doing business. And anybody who's fooled by that deserves to be, well, I don't know. The old gypsy philosophy used to be, if you're dumb enough to be ripped off, you deserve to be ripped off. And that really is about the sum of it, I think. Anyway, got to stop for just a moment while I... Okay. Pattern betting won 4,425, 13.3% of its total action. Should have won 14% of its total action at least. So, that's just how things go sometimes. You can't be exactly on the ball there. But we did pretty well. Average win 260, average loss 208. That's 125% average win value over average loss value, which is acceptable. That's about sort of the sweet spot. Anything over that is a bonus usually. We had 15 OKs. We had 15 turnarounds in our little set here. And the reason that it's worth, using people like Sirasani and so on is that it's verifiable stuff. Anybody who doubts me can do their own work. Of course, most people who throw shit at me are not workers by nature. They just sound off, and it's based on nothing. But there are, I guess, a couple of people out there at least who will say, okay, well, let's check this out. Let's see if this is true. Did he really do that? Did he really, is that really how it was? It applies obviously more to John than to me, because these bets are done automatically by the algorithm. But we had 15 OKs. John, I don't know. How many OKs did he have? I didn't even notice. Terrible. None? Maybe none. Oh, no, sorry. I beg his pardon. He had 3 OKs. We had 15. So OKs are simply turnarounds, where you have moved forward. You have made a little bit more money. He had 3 of those, and they were all up there in the beginning. And... look at this tranche here. The first 21 bets, he won 10,500. The next 21 bets, he lost 17,500. So that left him 7,000 down. And then here, he won 7,500. These are in blocks of 21, simply because I've got 21 lines in my notebook. So when I'm transcribing this stuff, and I do it faithfully and accurately and immaculately and carefully and all of those good things. Okay, so that put him 500 ahead, and then he lost. He lost here, and then he won here overall 7,000, and like I said, lost 7,000 here. I mean, how dumb is that? And his current loss from his extra bets, his add-on bets, nearly 40,000, and he keeps doing it. I mean, it's like, what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, that's King John, the greatest of all time for you. He just keeps on throwing his money away and expects to win. I mean, it's nuts. But hey, his money, his choice. He is entitled to it. The whole thing about add-on bets. I've told this story before, but you may not have heard it. And if you have heard it, I'm very sorry. But I had a friend in, he wasn't a friend, he was kind of never mind. Anyway, he was somebody I knew in northern Nevada, where I lived for many years. And he was a wealthy man. He was a degenerate, pathetic gambler. And he loved to have a table to himself. He would have a reserved blackjack table. And all the time, he bet 3 slots, 3 circles, 3 hands, okay? And he lost, I don't know, it was horrible. Because what happens, obviously, is that you get 3 stiffs, and then the dealer is showing a 10 and he flips over a 9 or a whatever. You're dead 3 times over. It makes no sense at all. But Sirasani and others, including Degen Dolt, keep doing it. They just will not learn, damn it, And yes, I get it's their money. They can do what they want with it. But by putting shit up on YouTube, they are acting as role models. What I try to do in my situation on YouTube is to say, look, here are the numbers. Here are the facts. This is what happened. And then I show you bet by bet, blow by blow against Baccarat and Blackjack. And I'm not setting myself up as the greatest of all time, the best that ever played. That would be ridiculous as Sirasani saying the same thing. I mean, it's a joke. It's sad. But hey. And as far as the extra bets are concerned, when I first started paying attention to gambling on YouTube, which was like over 2 years ago now, I found a guy who had a channel called MG21. His name was Max, his wife was Gretchen, and he played most of the time in one of the Seminole casinos down in Florida. And he was, I would say, I'm with 99% certainty that he was an advantage player, okay? Now, I reject card counting as a valid way of improving your chances against this game. And I don't do it in the way that people our commenters on YouTube do, based on no information whatsoever. I worked very hard for a very long time, over thousands upon thousands of bets, tracking the true count and the running count, and then looking just to see, okay, what we need is to see that when the deck value or the count is +2 or more, we win more often than we lose. It didn't work out that way, okay? And I totally reject the Ed Thorpe concept, which is to say, if the deck value is +2, you bet 2 units. If it's +3, you bet 3 units, and so on. Absolute balderdash. Total crap, okay? I think encouraged by the casinos because they like people to try it and fail. And this is what will happen in any money management strategy or betting strategy which does not force a direct relationship between the hole you're in and the sum that you're betting at any given time. And when you're in the hole and you get a win, what you need to do is you need to increase your bet by at least double as long as you're in the hole. Once you're out of the hole, you stop doing that and you fall back to a minimum. But I have demonstrated that so many hundreds of times now in both blackjack and baccarat that I won't waste any more time on that. But the thing with Max was he was a very, very precise, very clever player. And he would only split out into more than one hand if he was trying to mess up the shoe. In other words, he's got a shoe that's hurting him. So he thinks to himself, okay, I'll spread out. So he would add 1 or more additional bets. But he wouldn't do what Sirasani does and bet the same. He would drop his bets while he was doing that, okay? So he would bleed out, hopefully. I mean, there was no way that he knew for certain that he was doing that, but he would hope that he would be bleeding out a bad stretch, a bad run, a bad clump, if you like, of cards. And then, as soon as things started going his way, boom, he'd come back to 1 bet and pile it on, And he just kept winning and winning and winning. I know it was just incredible. And he had this sort of great relationship with the dealers because he was a really good tipper. All of this stopped a couple of years ago. He suddenly disappeared, vanished. I mean, there are gambling channels on YouTube that have been there for years and years and years. And never altered, never updated, never whatever. And until somebody takes them down, they stay there, But Max has disappeared. And I always sort of think, okay, the casinos have finally recognized that this guy's methodology is damaging to them. So they persuaded him, perhaps with a little incentive, to take down the MG Slots channel, and it just vanished. But I'm telling you, if you can find any of those anywhere, if they exist somewhere else than on YouTube, watch Max bet. I almost said play, but play has nothing to do with it because he plays absolutely precise basic strategy. So in other words, he has no decisions to make about the hands, how to react to the cards in front of him. That's all laid out for him. No decisions, no choices to be made. Where the rubber meets the road is betting, 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 betting. That is the game. End of story. So anyway, thank you, John Sirasani, for playing as badly as you do and then making an idiot of yourself by pretending to be the greatest. You are not the greatest. You're not even average. But that's okay. It's a free world. You can claim what you want. If you think it improves your brand, I think it makes you look a bit silly, but fair enough. So, and then back up to 4,425 ahead in the bets that cost what's his features. Well, he won 7,000 on the left-hand bets that were first-base bets, and he lost 7,000 on the other bets, proving my point. So, I do owe him, and I thank you, John, for being as bad as you are and being willing to keep on proving it over and over again. I think that takes something. I'm not sure what, but it takes something. So, that's it.